if you have the question that you're having a really hard time not reaching out to the person that your spouse or partner had the affair with? You want more answers.
Okay, you guys, we have somewhat of a different review this week, but I think it's awesome and important. It says, any therapist that is willing to do on-air therapy is violating multiple ethical codes and is worthy of a Doppel intervention. So, the reason why I like this is it gives us opportunity to address that. So I just want to be clear that this isn't therapy. If you listen closely to the podcast, we discuss topics. And Ashlynn and Coby have their therapist that they go to.
Yeah, Brandon's not our therapist.
I'm not their therapist. And, you know, I learn a lot from Ashlynn and Coby when we have these conversations. And I'm not going deep with them and their issues. And we're not working. So we talk about their life. We talk about the things going on in your life. But I'm not doing trauma work and even cognitive behavioral therapy or anything like that on you guys on the podcast. So just to be clear about that. So I really appreciate that feedback so that I could clarify and talk about that. So thank you.
That's good stuff. Okay guys, I'm going to share a success story. This is from a guy I did one-on-one mentoring with, and he says this. He sent a picture of he and his wife, which was awesome. He said, just want to pass on how awesome it's been for us to work out together. They're not going to therapy together. Well, they might be doing that, but they're working out together.
But they were
exercising
going to
together.
The gym
Yeah.
for hours.
He was going to the gym for like 2.5 hours, and it wasn't sustainable for him. He's only working working out like 3 days a week. So now they're working out at home, side by side, and they're doing different stuff. And they rotate from cardio to weights. He says, I can't believe how much I've healed personally, and we both have healed as a couple. You guys are doing incredible work. My wife and I love the three of you and are so thankful that we are in the place we are. We don't regret the past whatsoever. That's super cool. We know it's the path that got us here. So this is a really unique...
Can I see their picture?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really unique success story because this
awesome.
Couple is leveraging a daily to bind themselves together, to grow together. And we don't often hear, I'm sure that there's lots of you out there who are listening who work out together as partners. But the truth is that that's something that Ashlynn and I started doing, Ashlynn, how long ago?
4 years?
4.5 years.
Okay.
And we worked out side by side even this morning when, before we came here. Got up extra early to do that. But it's just, there's something about it, and I don't know that I can necessarily articulate what it is in full, but it's a really special thing to work out side by side in the process of while we're healing, and it's just been a big component of our recovery. So it's cool.
Not to say every couple needs to work out together, but to have something that they connect on and do together is important. So
yeah,
that's awesome. I know it's been really important for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so you have a lot of questions, things start coming out, and one person that has a lot of answers is the other person. And so there can be a desire sometimes to reach out and to gather information, or out of anger want to reach out to the other person. And so we want to talk about, is that healthy? What are some of the consequences of that? And how that can go. So what was your experience with it, Ashlynn? Did you have that desire to reach out?
Yeah, in the first affair, there wasn't social media, and I don't even know her name. So I didn't have a way to I'm going to Google this person and
like
stalk her.
Facebook stalker. You couldn't do that.
Yes, but I did do that with the second one.
Yeah.
It's hard not to when you have that crazy making of, I want to know who this person is. I want to compare myself to this person.
You want to know everything about them.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally normal. Yeah. Okay, so as you did that, then what happened?
It didn't help. I ended up blocking so that I couldn't look for this person and then they couldn't look for me.
you realized that it wasn't doing you any good to gather information on her. Why wasn't it doing you any good?
I couldn't stop thinking about it. And whenever there's that broken record in my head, I know that that's not me. I know that it's there to just push me into isolation, push me into anger and resentment, and make up really big stories.
Mm-hmm. And
that is when I'm like, well, I need to know more.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because we've done it at full disclosure. We did that with the therapist, but I still felt like, oh geez, that spike narrative could get in there. Even
Right.
though I had my answers answered with Coby,
Right.
my questions answered,
Right.
there was still an opportunity, obviously, there always is, to reach out and get more.
Right. Interesting. Did you know Ashlynn was going through this?
I didn't know that you necessarily had those thoughts in your head, those specific thoughts in your head, but I think you shared the idea that you were going to reach out. Well, maybe actually you didn't.
I didn't reach out to her.
No, but I don't know that you actually ever told me that you were, those thoughts had crossed your mind. And I know that you're just by nature not a combative person, and I even knew in betrayal trauma that you weren't the type to want to,
Seek vengeance? Or...
Yeah, exactly. So it was. I knew that it was a potential possibility, but I didn't know how it would go down. It was kind of interesting.
So here's a question: Is it okay to have the desire to seek vengeance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all your feelings, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think if somebody's threatening something really important to you, it's a good thing to have some anger.
Yeah.
And now, what you do with that anger really matters.
Yeah, and honestly, this goes in a lot of different areas of my life, but I do think it's important, one, to own those emotions, however difficult they are,
Right.
to admit to, but also to admit to the narrative that's happening and how crazy it sounds,
Yeah.
right? I may not tell anyone, but I'm gonna journal it, and I
Right.
did do that.
Right.
Like, all the stories I was making up, there was probably truth, right, mixed in there, but I was making it
Well,
crazy.
that's so healthy, because as you flush that out, as you admit that you're having these stories, and as you become aware of that, you realize a lot of this is just made up. A lot of this is just assumption. I don't have all the facts, and you're spinning out in this story in your head of who she is and why she did what she did, and what your husband thinks about her. You don't know all of that. And if you can journal all that out and look at it or talk to somebody about it, then you can see, okay, I just need to process this. A lot of this is my own thoughts, my own assumptions. The hard part is you might not get all the answers of what's happened and why it happened. And there is some let go. There's some surrendering over, saying, okay, I can try to gather, I can Facebook stalk to the furthest degree here. I can even call them on the phone, and I still might not know everything. And that's scary, and that's hard in a relationship, because you want to know why it happened, and what you could have done to prevent it, or why was he or she attracted to that other person, right?
Well, and for me it was like, okay, so he gave me his honest story, right? But how do I know when I haven't had that for so long?
Right.
That's really the story, right?
Right. Like
There's always two
that's all that happened. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Now sometimes you'll get the full story from the affair partner, and how I've seen that is, the person breaks off the relationship with the affair partner. They become bitter, so they come back to the wife and they say, "Here, I need to tell you everything. Boom, this is what happened." And it's a vengeance play on their part toward the other person. That's not healthy either, for it all to come out that way. But sometimes that happens. So there is contact sometimes between the spouse and the affair partner. In rare cases, I've actually seen it be somewhat healthy. In rare cases. And that's when there's some...
I know, I'm like,
Here's the rare
actually
case.
it was a rare case for us. We did actually talk
Yeah.
at one point.
Well, and you had an elevator ride, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had like a 1 in a million alone in an elevator ride.
Yeah, so
That was
fun. How lucky for
crazy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the choice in that moment to shut down, beat her up, say
Yeah.
horrible things. I just sat there.
I'm surprised you didn't go jujitsu on her or
I
something.
know, right?
But
No.
but you didn't shrink either, and I think that's the really important part. Like you stood confident and you stood sure, without crumbling.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We talked after that elevator ride.
You
And-
heard it.
Yeah, she reached out. She actually saw our videos that
Really?
were like viral on Facebook, and she apologized. She said, "I had no idea how it impacted you, and it makes sense." She was actually really great about it,
Uh-huh.
which is not always the case.
Yeah.
So there was some closure there,
There
and some
was.
healing there,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
wanted to be friends,
and
so
you
I
didn't
cut that off.
You didn't want to take it that far.
No.
No. But she did want to make amends.
Yes.
And you allowed her to do that.
Yep.
Which I think it takes a big person to do that, to say, okay, like, I'll listen and I'll forgive. Yeah, that sounds really healthy. Now look at the reasons why you guys had contact. You had contact for healing purposes, for moving forward. It wasn't contact out of the fear cycle on your part. I'm trying to gather information so that I know everything. It wasn't contact out of, I want to hurt you and I want to get back at you. It was contact out of moving forward.
Yeah.
and peace. I have had clients talk to their spouse's affair partner, and it has been helpful to some degree to gather some information about the nature of it, and it helped open up their eyes as to who their spouse is and why they do what they do. So it was helpful to gather some information there.
So how is it that you can do it in a healthy way, like you're describing, compared to seeking it for maybe the wrong reasons?
I think in the cases that I'm thinking of, the affair had simmered down. Obviously, it was over, and I think both parties wanted to kind of process it a little bit, and so they were open to it. They were in a healthy place to do that. So
See, but that's the trick, I think, is when you have those strongest desires, you're not in healthy. It's
Yes.
the beginning, right?
yes, so
Where you've
so
done
right in
everything.
crisis mode,
Yeah.
fight or flight, not the time to sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah.
So if you're in your wise mind, they are too, and they realize mistakes were made, and you all want to learn from it. I don't think it's. I wouldn't say across the board it's unhealthy to talk to them no matter what. Now I'm also not saying that you should talk to them. I think it's okay to not, and to say, okay, let's let them do their recovery, we'll do our recovery, and move forward that way.
So it sounds like it kind of depends on your story and where you're at, and that answer can come more the gut feeling,
Yes.
right? Or with the help from a therapist, but not just letting your emotions.
Reactionary
Yeah.
mode, because you'll probably say and do things that you don't want to say and do.
For sure. I would.
in those
100%.
circumstances.
So a couple of thoughts are crossing my mind right now. The first one being, I guess this is more of a statement. When I disclosed to Ashlynn, it was 6 weeks into specialized therapy, and her therapist Amy said, "Okay, Coby, she's ready and you're ready." And I was like, no, don't you remember that I said I was never going to share this? She's like, "No, you're ready." And I was like, oh my gosh. And so she's like, "I want you to trust me that you're ready and that she's ready, and I want you to trust me that now's the time." Excuse me. And so she helped me know what to say when I disclosed this to Ashlynn, right? And so I guess the point with it is I was able to share with you, Ashlynn, like exactly what happened, and but this wasn't like, we didn't have a full disclosure at this point. The full disclosure came later. So I'm just wondering, what's the because I was like, coach, like I literally left Amy's office and went right home and told Ashlynn. So there was like 15 minutes that I was like really freaking out about sharing this with her, and then I shared it, but she told me what to share. That's not always going to happen with people who are going to disclose this. So I guess the question is
Or it's already happened.
Yeah. So the question is what happens? What's the relationship between full disclosure of the affair and also like I don't know what I'm trying to ask.
The trickle?
Like
Which is
yeah, it's like if the partner wants to know the details, if the betrayed wants to know the details of what happened, but yet all like the necessary details were not shared, what do they need to have a disclosure sooner than later? Like,
Yeah.
how is that managed?
Yeah.
Because there's a balance there, right?
Yeah.
To be able to stifle the need for wanting all the details because you have
when
enough.
when you go drop a bomb, there's fear that just gets triggered, and we all react and respond differently to that fear.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go drop that bomb, maybe she'll get angry and aggressive. Maybe she'll shut down and isolate or maybe she'll get really inquisitive and
He or
she gather as much information as possible. In that highly emotional state, they're in a state probably of some denial. Their grief's just starting, and they're in crisis mode. So to go sit down and say, "Okay, I'm going to sit down and give you a full 2-hour disclosure right now. Let's sit down. I've written it out with my therapist, and I'll give you the full disclosure right now." Oftentimes doesn't work. So
Okay.
sometimes you need to go just give the piece of information that you need to give. Look, I'm having an affair. And ouch, this hurts. They'll ask questions, they'll react, they'll respond. But as that goes by, then you sit down with your therapist and you say, okay, we're starting the trust rebuilding process back up again. And we talk about this in our course. It's the second module that we do, which is you come and you lay everything on the table and you get real with it. And that's the disclosure process.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place to do a full disclosure that can be a lot healthier. But usually, sometimes it happens in that moment of reaction because the digging just starts happening.
Right.
And even if it's done poorly then, it's still helpful to do it in the right way later.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
I got a question for you. What if the affair partner wants to contact the person who they had the affair with? So let's say the affair has ended, but they want to make amends, and they want to, let you know that they're happy that you're happy in your life now, and for whatever reason, what do you do?
well,
the second affair did reach out after I had sent the reconciliation letter to
owning
her,
yourself.
yeah, exactly, to her and her partner, and it was me just taking responsibility for my part and owning it and apologizing for the hurt, all those things, right, that are included in that kind of letter. And it was, I don't know how long, it was a month after that maybe, that she sent a Facebook message, and I didn't even respond, and I can't believe I didn't block her at that point, but at that point I did block her because I'm like, I'm not going to have any contact going forward. So, and that was also included in that email of like the reconciliation letters. Like, there's no reason to have any contact ever moving forward. So the fact that I got that message, just like I was
what if they're
freaked
making
out.
contact? What if it's for benign reasons, like, hey, I'm working the 12 steps, I'm working step 9, so I want to make amends with you. I just want to say hi and make amends.
Yeah, that's that's a.
Wait, shoot me
I'm
an
pretty sure that's how the original
With
affair
my
started. Like
Okay,
started to begin with.
so
very
here's the
innocently.
thing. I would say almost never is contact benign, even though it may seem that way. So yes, you did the right thing, Coby. Is that if they reach out, don't respond. That you've crossed lines there before.
Totally.
And if you're having one-on-one contact again, you're in danger zone automatically. So shut it off. Let somebody know, and just don't continue any type of relationship afterwards.
Every like both affairs that I had started very innocently.
Yes.
Very innocently.
And it's very easy to rekindle.
Yeah.
Afterwards. So.
I've had people say that they've had to change numbers because of what you're talking about, just like that incessant, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah.
And so just changing a phone number might have to be the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Affairs need to be cut clean, not severed slowly. Just cut them clean, and especially if you've done a disclosure and or your spouse knows about the affair, if you sever it slowly after that, the damage that you're doing, the trust breaking that you're doing, is really bad. So yeah, cut it clean. If they're reaching out to you, so.
Okay. Well, this is I think this is an important episode. It's got a lot of there's going to be a lot of emotional charge surrounding this for some people, and I think this just was an important one to address it. So, guys, if you've heard anything that you like, please rate and review. But make sure that you subscribe as well, because next week, Brandon.
Next week we're talking about abuse. So we're gonna break down the abuse cycle and talk about what abuse really is. And as you listen to it, you may realize you know somebody or you are in an abusive relationship, and it's helpful to understand.
Okay. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
See ya.